first thing you have to do is to find what is the cross section between cybersecurity and your current field. So for nursing, healthcare, one big thing we have there is data privacy, right?
Hmm.
So nursing have very big, they're very key on HIPAA requirements, right?
They are.
Protection of health information, right? You cannot expose, patients' information. Like there's certain ways you have to store these records, right? They
Right.
have health information. So my suggestion for them, rather than somebody start from scratch, go to your current organization, because within your organization you have people who deal with compliance, regulatory work, right? And
Right.
see if you can work in those departments, right? Because you already have the skills. You might be an RN, right? You already have the RN skills, right? So find those roles within your organization and see if you can actually start working in that role. And from there, you can actually expand to further roles if you need be. But first, start within your organization, right?
Okay.
I gave some examples of some roles that I've been seeing that someone could apply for, like somebody in the nursing field, a healthcare field.
Right.
There's something called a clinical IT analyst, RN, right? They
Right.
want somebody who can be there. You'll be an analyst, but you also have that angle. You know what's going on the RN side, right? There's
Correct.
clinical application analyst. You can work with EMR records, EMR workflows, right? There's a clinical IT analyst, HIPAA compliance analyst, like privacy officer. Or if you work with Epic, you can be an Epic application analyst. So
Hmm.
look at these particular roles, right? Like Epic application analyst, RN, clinical IT analyst, RN, like look for these roles either within your organizations or sister organizations that people work with, because within every healthcare facility, right, they have to have an IT shop. They have to have people who are looking at those applications, making sure those records are secure, right? Making sure
Correct.
compliant to the regulatory bodies. So make sure that you can, the first thing you want to do is try to see if you can switch internally. And then once you switch there, you can expand your roles. From there, you can go and maybe start studying for like a CISA certification. And if
Okay.
you can now move into IT auditing. So that's my general recommendation of how to get switch from nursing to cybersecurity.
And Michael, say for example, let's take a hypothetical case state. I am a nurse, right? And I'm doing bedside nursing. And maybe I am tired of doing bedside nursing and I want to switch. However, I have some vacation time. So maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever the case may be, maybe a month even. And I'm willing to study. One, are you able to help me then make the switch? So we are using me as an example. I am a bedside nurse and I want to switch. However, I need to do my hours because I still want to keep making my money. I don't have the luxury of, let me just quit my job. Now, maybe my company gives school fees to assistance, tuition reimbursement. So how one would we frame that such that, because organizations will give you based on if you are going to benefit them, they're not necessarily trying to give you school fees just to go somewhere else. So as a bedside nurse, how then do I convince my organization that my learning cybersecurity will benefit them so that they can pay for my school? And two, do you do this specifically? So hypothetically, I'm a bedside nurse, I want to switch. Can I use the company's tuition reimbursement? And if I have a 2-week vacation, how will that work? Because as a nurse, I still have to work. And maybe I can switch to night shift if I need to, and if that is applicable. But how am I able to then take, one, do you give the classes? Two, what classes would you recommend for me to take specifically? I want to start tomorrow even. I mean, I'm tired, or, maybe go through the process of getting tuition reimbursement, but say I can start in a month. But I don't have the luxury of not working, So what do we do with a 2-week vacation, tuition reimbursement, and what is the fastest way I can move in that organization, make myself seem beneficial to them still?
Right. There's different ways you can attack this, right? So like my model, I do not want you to have any gap between your employment, right? Like when you're switching, we do not want you to like stop working if you're working a nursing role and study for a period of time before you start working in cybersecurity, right? So
Mhm.
one of the things you could do, like a lot of companies have internal budgets for training, right? So you could go to your organization. So I don't know what type of training nurses, if they have to do continuing education, but
Mhm.
you can talk to your management and say, you know what, since I know we are big on health protection and HIPAA, is there any way I could go do this training if that's a skill set they want me to have before I move into a position?
Right.
Right? That's one thing you could do. Another thing you could do is you could easily ask to cross train with someone who works in that particular role, right? Somebody who
Mhm.
works within your healthcare, organization. If they work in the compliance or regulatory or in the IT field, right?
Right.
You can go and shadow somebody and see exactly what they do, what tools they're using, right? How they're ensuring this data is secure, your health information is secure. So that's one way you could do it. Another way you could do it, you could go for third party learning. That's where we come in, like cybersecurity simplified, right? We
Mhm.
could actually, if you wanted, we could train you like on a general CISA certification, right? So
Okay.
CISA certification prepares you to be an IT auditor. An IT auditor means you can work in any field, not necessarily nursing. You can work in the nursing field, or
Right.
if you want, you could come out and work in the financial sector, energy sector, um, or any other related industry that you want to work in, right? So
Right.
that's another way, if that's something you may want to do, that's something you could do. We could be training you like after hours. We have programs for a lot of working professionals where we meet maybe once a week, like on
Okay.
the weekend for a few hours, and then we train them, and in 3 months they can be ready to sit for their certification.
Great. So it's not an impossible thing for somebody who's working today to be able to shift and transition, and you give them the plan, pretty much.
But nothing in the world is impossible. As long as
Very good.
passion and the drive, you can do it.
I
Like
love that.
anything you've ever thought about, somebody has done it before you have, right? So nothing is impossible.
I
I've
love
seen
that.
switch from unrelated fields into cybersecurity, right? So it's very possible. It just depends on your passion and determination and your aptitude to learn and soak up knowledge and be able to apply it.
Oh, there you go. I feel I'm not even a nurse, but I feel like I could start tomorrow with you. I'm like, this is where I am. Like, you gave me a lot of psych to do this. So I hope, for the healthcare professionals out there who are looking to shift from healthcare per se, I mean like bedside nursing or nursing, whatever, levels of nursing you have. And if you're looking to go into cybersecurity, and we are talking hypothetically nurses, I'm sure in other industries, other people are trying to shift, and this is just a practical way. So it's a method to the madness if they figure out where they are and how to shadow or figure out ways. But guys out there, also feel free to ask us. We are specifically answering about healthcare and nurses because that is the question that Michael was asked. Now, if there's a different industry and somebody wants to shift, then by all means, ask the question. We'll be happy to answer it. And Michael, maybe one day we can also tackle how does somebody then say they're in tech, because we're talking about people in nursing wanting to shift. And actually, I can just ask you that now. Somebody's in the tech industry, but they're not in cybersec. How do they make that shift? Is that shift different? Is it, how?
So for somebody in the industry, I
Mhm.
would recommend a similar pattern, but so it depends. If you have been in the industry for 5 years or more in the tech industry,
Mhm.
what I'd recommend for you if you want to go into cybersecurity,
Mhm.
there's a certification called the CISSP, right?
Okay.
It's a real cybersecurity certification. I recommend, if you've been in tech already, I recommend you train and sit for this particular certification.
Okay.
This certification will open all doors for you, right? All doors for you into security, right?
Okay.
Once you attain this certification.
Okay.
Another path you could take, you could alternatively look within your organization and see if you could pivot, off your current role. You could
Mhm.
easily go to like an IT audit role, or depending if you're working in networking, databases, whichever part of IT you're working, right? You
Yeah.
could easily switch. You could do the transfer, the cross training if they allow you to do that, right? You could
Right.
do a cross training with a security team like for 6 months or something. A lot of
Okay.
organizations like to promote people rotating around, right? And once you get your foot in there, you will learn the basics because you have to know the basics of cybersecurity, right? One thing to get into cybersecurity, number one, you have to know the IT fundamentals, right? So since you're in IT, you already know the IT fundamentals. The second,
Absolutely.
you have to know security basics, right? The basics that you have to know within cybersecurity, right? So if you do the
Right.
you will get those skills as part of you working with those people within your organization. And it also gives you an excellent chance to network, within that. Like once you do a rotation, it's very easy. Like you already know the management, you're like, I actually want to transfer into this department. I mean, it's going to be so much easier for you when the position opens up because we
Right.
know a lot of this is all about networking, right? You ever see reports of people with zero experience and you wonder, how did they get the cyber job? It's all networking. They knew somebody who knew somebody who was in that position and they gave them a chance, right?
Right.
They already know you, you are a known quantity, right? So they can bring you into their organization and put you at a certain role and you can grow from there. So those are the two different ways you can tackle getting into cybersecurity from an IT role.
Okay, thank you. Mama says, thanks for this information. I have been looking for some advice into cybersecurity. So you are helping Mama Beryl D. So she's really excited about that information. So thank you. And also, it's funny, sometimes we think that we know stuff and you just don't know what you don't know. So my conversations with you, Michael, like I think I'm like, yeah, but you've already talked to him, you kind of know what. And then I'm like, oh no, I didn't know this angle about that. And it's just nice that much as we're coming here and having conversations and saying, answering questions. And I have spent a lot of time with you and in terms of what you do, but each time you blow my mind. Like it's all, I'm like, I can't believe that each time, like tomorrow I'm sure I'll be like, oh, I had no idea about that part of you. So it's a beautiful thing that you do and the things that you say. And I love the part where you're not taking people, unless they want to, you're not taking them completely out of what it is they already know how to do. They're just adding a new skill to it and using that new skill and staying in places where pretty much what they have to do is navigate. With a new skill, figure out your way up. Right? That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm getting. And it's not too super complex to get into what it is that they need to.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of a lot of people think that you have to get into cybersecurity, you have to get in a junior role.
Right.
And that's not accurate, right? There's something that you excel in. If you excel in something, you can go excel with that something in cybersecurity, right? Like
Correct.
say you're in marketing, right? You're a good marketer. There's a lot of security companies out there. All you have to do apply to any of the plethora of security organizations we have.
Right.
Go be a marketer with them, right? You'll be their number one because they're always trying to market all this. There's numerous vendors. They're trying to market their products. And once
Right.
you work with them, by default, you will learn whatever they're selling, right? And you will learn the industry, right? Like
Absolutely.
you could go work for like Palo Alto, they sell firewalls or Checkpoint. Like you could be a salesperson or a marketing person. And with all those sales speeches you'll be making, you'll be hearing all the tech guys talk about the firewalls. And then you'll start learning about firewalls across the industry. And
Right.
then you learn about information protection. Before you know it, you're deep in security, right? So it's a matter of pivoting from your current role and going to another different industry and doing the same thing that you do at,
Uh,
at the same specific place you are.
I love that. I love how we've looked at tackled it that way, and I love the beauty of the community. So it's not that when you're done with this talk, they'll never be able to catch you. You know what I mean? You sit in the community, your page is there. They can always inbox you if somebody wants to go further. So pretty much, you guys, you've heard what Michael Ratemo has told you about cybersec and how to get there. So if you have any further questions, ask the questions. He's always willing to help, willing to assist guys to get to their next level of cybersecurity greatness. I mean, greatness all around, which is fine. His specialty, however, is cybersecurity from a career perspective.